Hey, good morning. It's the last day of the year, and welcome to the show. Wake up, Patriots. We're here to help you summarize the year and be done with everything that we have experienced. Speaking of experience, I'm at the Broad Street Cafe in beautiful downtown Edenton, Mayberry RFD on the water, and I'm actually in the cafe. So we're doing a live shot, and I'm looking for the broads. I don't see them. I'm disappointed that there's false advertising. I'll have to complain to the management. Where in the heck are the broads? Who knows? Anyway, without further ado, someone who knows a lot about broads is Chris Cordani. Good morning, Chris.
That's right. As Paul McCartney would say, give my regards to Broad Street.
That's right. That's right. So, and man, oh man, I guess I'll walk out on Broad Street here in a bit, but otherwise, we're good to go through and talk about the end of the year. And no better a person to talk about the end of times and the beginning of a new one is Karyn Turk. Karyn, good morning.
Hi. I mean, I definitely thought you were going to introduce me as a broad, which I have to tell you, Tony, I'm
No.
not offended by. I mean, you might. I
Yeah.
mean, but it would be all in good fun, and that's what we do on this show. And I'm so excited that we're wrapping up the year. Can you believe that we've been doing this show together, Wake Up Patriots, for a year? We've been doing this Rumble thing, and it's been incredible. And our audience, the Rumble chat right now, is so excited already that you're in this diner. It only took them about a second to realize how much fun it's going to be because it's all about talking to real people and connecting and creating a sense of community. And what a great way to end the year. I'm so glad that it landed on a Tuesday and I could be here with you guys.
Well, it's also only fitting that we do this, or you do this from a diner, because of the death of one of the great diner waitresses in television history. Linda Lavin passed away this week. She was a fine
Oh, I didn't
actress.
know that.
That's right. That's because there was all the hullabaloo of the other guy, the guy that was president after Ford.
Jimmy
His
Carter.
passing. Right. The
Yeah, him.
Yeah, but Linda Lavin was a national treasure. She was a great singer. She
She
was a Broadway actress,
was.
Tony actress. I loved waking up. I loved watching or staying up a little late as a kid to watch Alice and listen to Flow Street,
Yes.
Kiss My Grits. So I'm
Kiss
hoping
my
somebody.
grits.
So I'm hoping somebody at the diner taps at the window with a spatula, saying, "Hey, pick up pie."
Yeah, that was a
That's a
classic.
bill with
I
a
might have
Yeah.
spatula.
to go back and rewatch that. I might need to find that. I'm sure it's on like TV Land or Pluto or one of these platforms that I have on my TV that has everything because we all have everything now.
Yeah, it's true. I was watching the other night a completely mindless sci-fi movie called Vampire Planet. What a great movie it was too. It's from the '60s, and by the way, there's no vampires in it. It's kind of misnamed, but oh well. It was still a cool, like 1960s. I think it was on Pluto on one of those random channels that we get. But one of the things I do like, even though they're a bunch of libs, is Mystery Science Theater 3000. And last night
Ooh.
they had Mitchell on. Mitchell has to be one of the worst movies ever made, right, Chris? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah. It's not one of the best.
Not one of the best.
It's
I don't know. I watched some reality single white female thing on like Netflix or Hulu or something last night. And as disturbing as it would have been, it was actually kind of funny. And I don't even know the name of it, but I'm sure the chat's going to remind me. But it's this new thing that's trending about this crazy stalker lady. Apparently, it's like a true story. And it was just so wild. But the whole time you were laughing, going, well, where's the police? And then they were interviewing the detectives, and they're like, yeah, we didn't think about looking for blood in the car the first time. It's just,
well,
it was nuts. And if nobody's watched it in the chat, I'll be sort of disappointed, although I'm not like I'm recommending it, but it was sort of amusing yet scary that in small town America, there were so many clues that were missed in this amazing criminal mystery.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
Tony, what's going on there on the street on Broad Street?
maybe the
Well, I'll
stalker
go
was
on in a bit.
Kathy
Yeah, there she is.
Hochul.
That's her. See,
There
the
you
governor
go.
of New York hangs out here.
Well, you might want to watch
Ooh.
out, because if she hangs
Hey,
out there, she might want to charge you
yeah,
an extra $9 to go to the middle of the diner.
yeah. Let's go. Well, I know. So, you guys, I got a semi-crisis at home. You guys take this for a minute. Karen, why don't you do
Sure.
a Jesus calling? Chris, take me off screen so I can do something
Yeah, we'll do this.
here.
Okay, Karen,
All right.
let's do the Jesus calling, because I think we
Yeah,
all need
let's
that
definitely
right
do
now.
that. And I want to remind everybody too, what's interesting about this new year tonight is it's also a new moon. So if you're into those sort of metaphysical things, which some of us are and some of us aren't, I think it's really amazing that we're going into 2025 with this new moon, which means that we're wiping the slate clean. So,
Mm.
if you want to put that in a political sense, Chris, just about the renewal of what's about to happen in America, it's really a beautiful thing. So, I'm very happy to be sharing Jesus Calling. It's a short one today, but it's a good one. So, December 31st, as this year draws to a close, receive my peace. This is still your deepest need, and I, the Prince of Peace, long to pour myself into your neediness, my abundance into your emptiness. They're a perfect match. I designed you to have no sufficiency of your own. I created you as a jar of clay, set apart for sacred use. I want you to be filled with my very being, the feeling of God, permeating through you with my peace. Thank you for my peaceful presence, regardless of your feelings in the moment. Whisper my name in loving tenderness. My peace, which continually lives through your spirit, will gradually work its way through your entire being. So, what a great way to start the year, Chris. Clean slate, clean political slate. Hopefully, all of the nonsense is over and we can get to January 20th as quickly as possible. It's right around the corner, but yet, for me, and I'm sure the chat will agree, it feels a world away.
I would hope that would be a political clean slate, but as you know, the left, the deep state, they're tossing as much as possible, as much garbage and obstacles as possible for anything to get done in the next 4 years. What they were trying to pull a while back against Donald Trump, but they're doing a little bit more, and they think they're going to be a little bit more refined. Luckily, this time Trump's ready for it. Interesting. What are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that? Yeah.
I think he is ready for it. And, one of the things that I want to talk about this for a quick second, especially coming out of Jesus Calling this morning, is, we still have hostages. There are still hostages and American hostages in Gaza. And that's not something that really you're hearing a lot about. And this morning, I want to give kudos to some of the stations that are covering Aviva Siegel, who's been out there talking about her husband, Keith, and how he's still in captivity in Gaza. And this is a man who is an American citizen. He's married to a woman who has Israeli heritage. They have family there. And they were traveling back and forth and they decided to, make themselves at home and see their family and had gone over there. And they were actually kidnapped from their home. And she was tortured for 51 days. Can you imagine? And she's talked about her experience and watching horrific things happen to her husband and him be abused. And then thank God she's set free, but he's still in captivity. And where is the outcry? Where are we coming into this new year? And I have a lot of hope that Donald Trump is going to make such a big impact, Chris, worldwide, that immediately upon coming in, he's not only going to be able to
Thank you.
maybe free these hostages, but be able to do so much internationally that, we haven't done in 4 years. It's like America's been asleep, just like Joe Biden. I mean, what a metaphor, right, Tony? I'm glad to see you're
Yeah.
back.
So yes, I just had a very brief little thing, kids, and so I'm trying to get my son to come down. By the way, little town crisis, so they don't have everybody show up for work. You got to bring in the reserve. So my son Ryan is a reserve, and so he's on the way down. He might be on the show today. So anyway,
I love it.
So back to the topic. No, so thank you for the Jesus Calling. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's time for a new beginning. But we had a great year, Chris. And one of the things I wanted to bring up that was great is the Army. So I'm wearing my us. That's us. Us. We, United States, right, Karyn? We, us. We had a great year. America's back, baby. And the Army did very well, right, Chris? You pointed out they went 12-2. Is that what it was?
12-2, won the Independence Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't win the Army Navy game, but they're league champions, and they have a what was it? They have a Heisman Trophy candidate. Was Bryce Daly?
That's right.
Bryson Daly, yes. And I watched I went to the opening game against Lehigh, and I'm watching this. This guy did not even throw, barely threw passes. I think he threw maybe 3 or 4 passes that game. The guy didn't throw a lot, but he ran right through defenses. Him and another running back, and I always forget his name, but he's off the team now. He's going to be transferring somewhere else. He went through that transfer portal. But Army has a very strong offensive line, a good defense, and they look good for the next next year as well. If they keep this up, they look really good.
So the transfer part, is that like Star Trek? Are they bringing back Star Trek too? Are they going to beam up to the Enterprise and go off with Scotty and Uhura?
Well,
And Mr. Spock,
the funny thing about the transfer portal is the Army's first opponent for the Independence Bowl had 20 players sign up for that. What happens is if you sign up for it, you cannot play for your team at the respective bowl afterwards. So there was no opponent. So I believe Louisiana had to step in. They weren't as good, but still great game. Army had a great season. And I don't know if Daly's going to win the Heisman Trophy, but he should get a lot of votes.
well, we'll see. But it's great that the Army did so well. And of course, us, U.S., baby. That's us. So anyway, but moving on to other topics, one of the things I did want to touch on today was who won the election? I think a guy named Donald Trump, right?
The GOAT. The GOAT
I think
himself.
that's true. Right. And so Sleepy Joe Biden regrets not running against Trump. Can you believe that? He said he could have taken him out back and beat his,
He's always said that.
Oh, I mean, I really do. I have a little bit of compassion. Like, I feel like he's being trafficked. I've said this before, Tony, on this show. Like, there are times, like coming into the new year, I'm trying to, we all have resolutions to be more kind and to do things. I'm trying to be more compassionate towards Joe Biden himself. I have no compassion for the people around him or the administration. But this is so obviously a demented old man who has absolutely no idea what's really happening and is being puppeted by the left in such a big way that it is elder trafficking. Again, I'm going to give a shout out to the show. Where are the lawyers? Let's go ahead. Let's initiate. I mean, the laws are in place. I don't love guardianships, but they exist. Put Joe Biden in a guardianship. Let's go ahead and take away the rights of the people that are trafficking this old man and taking advantage of him. I mean, It's so obvious to so many of us. And what really infuriates me now is that I guess I should be happy that the left is waking up to this, but yet I'm angry because I'm like, no, wait a second. You perpetuated this. And now you want to act like, oh, well, I just noticed at the debate. Like, no. I was going to say SHIT, but I can't say that on here. Sherlock, this has been obvious, right?
Yeah. So anyway, I am wearing our friend George's, this side. It's all reversed.
Born to Ride.
Yeah, Born to Ride 45. Yeah, so he could take Biden out and like ride him out, right? I'm sure George has those motorcycles. Wouldn't that be a great? No, I'm serious. Like, George, if you're listening, go to the inauguration so you can put Biden on one of your tricycles and kind of ride him off into the sunset, right? Wouldn't that be cool, Karen?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
Think cinematically. This could be like Kevin Spacey in that TV series he was in. What was that called? I can't remember now. It's there it is.
For all? Is that what it's called?
So what you could do is like give him ice cream and then he could ride off across the 14th Street Bridge into Virginia, off into the sunset. Wouldn't that be great? That would be like the perfect movie end to a bad administration. I
prefer he takes a ride across the Brooklyn Bridge and has to pay an extra $9.
I think he's a terrible person, and I think he lived a terrible life, and I think God and him will have a serious talk when he gets where he needs to go, but I don't think it's any of our job here on earth to, judge others. I mean, God keeps telling us not to do that. We're all trying to make an effort, but at the same time, you look at him now and you look how far this has actually gone, and you watch Jill leading him around, and you're like, I would like to see him just sort of go away at this point and go live out his life with his family and the people that love him as an older American human being that has served this country in some capacity, if not very badly, very badly.
Do you think that it's going to be interesting because, he's declared the 9th of January, and I'm going to acknowledge Jimmy Carter's passing. And let me be very clear. Jimmy Carter was as bad as Biden. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to.
Very similar. Very similar, except Jimmy Carter didn't have dementia, Tony. Jimmy Carter didn't have dementia.
So this is not well known, but I want to clear the record on this. I wore the Reagan shirt yesterday. I love President Reagan. I'm a Reagan guy. He defeated a man who actually hid his evil within his good intentions. He was interfering with diplomacy. In the 90s, when I was running clandestine operations in North Korea, Carter was undermining Bill Clinton. Think about that. He was trying to undermine Clinton, trying to stop the North Koreans from getting nuclear weapons. I was there. I witnessed it personally. This is not some sort of a fictional, I read about it. I was there. I actually was in strike that. I was in South Korea. Don't forget about the North Korea thing I just said. Anyway, we were.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
These are not the Koreans you're thinking about. Anyway, my point being is that there he is. That Carter's life, while subdued, was nothing but Joe Biden-esque work behind the scenes. He was doing things to upend. He actually called Hamas a good organization. So I just want to set the record straight. I'm sorry if Jimmy Carter is no better than Joe Biden. It's a different face of the same failure. Is that a good summary? It's all about not
It's
doing the right
amazing.
thing.
Right.
I think it's a great summary.
Well, also he does have a couple positive things to his legacy, Jimmy Carter. I'm going to add a couple positives to him. One is he just made Ted Kennedy seethe so much that Kennedy deliberately dropped his own ball on that universal health care thing because he didn't like the idea of being the
it's
president
similar to
do it.
Obama. Again, history repeating itself.
Okay.
Think about that, Chris. Think about that comparison there.
Secondly, his presidency, his tenure, spawned the big glam rock hit from the 1980s by Sammy Hagar, "I Can't Drive 55."
Oh, yeah. But
at
that
least
was
there are
horrible.
2 positive things that come out of him.
Horrible.
Wow. I think the positive thing that came out of Jimmy Carter for me is he's what made me a Republican. So I'm going to take that. So many people, Tony, we're about the same age, and really as a child, he made a big impact on me. And maybe there's some children now that are watching Joe Biden going, hey, something's not adding up. Because I can tell you, even as a young child, a 7 or 8-year-old girl, I knew something was up with Jimmy Carter.
I want you all, everybody, all the Patriots, say hello to Mary Pat. Come in closer. Act like we're friends.
Hi.
Mary Pat.
Good morning, Mary Pat. There she is.
Good morning, everyone.
This is Mary Pat. She runs this place. It's a cool place. So if you're in Edenton, come down to the Broad Street Cafe. I haven't found the Broads yet, but she's going to help me find.
They're here. Broad Street Diner.
That's right. So we'll talk to her later. She was just walking by, so I wanted to grab her. So,
Inventorying.
so yeah. So anyway.
Yeah,
there we go.
Really cool.
So there she goes. We'll say hello to her later.
Excellent.
So anyway, look who else is showing up. Dr. Corsi, but he didn't bring any broads with him. I don't know what's wrong with that. So.
He's off his game today. He's usually, he's definitely, the broads are chasing Jerry for sure. I'm chasing Jerry. I stalk Jerry.
Good morning, Dr. Corsi. Good to see you. So anyway, let's finish off the point because I'm sure Jerry's going to agree with this. Jimmy Carter was not a good guy, and I appreciate the folks in the chat picking up on this. And by the way, a little trivia: I have worked for every president in some form, except for Joe Biden. I actually, as a very young kid, I went to high school in Lisbon, Portugal. Jimmy Carter came for a visit in 1979, and I had the honor of going out as a embassy employee to buy a sweater for Zbigniew Brzezinski and a vase for Amy Carter. No, it was the other way around. Anyway, I was I had to go out and do this. So I actually have a little certificate in my office at home saying a certificate of appreciation from Jimmy Carter. Just saying.
Well,
so
Jimmy, he was one of the worst presidents. I mean, the images I have of him is, when Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran for the revolution, Jimmy Carter celebrated his return.
Yep.
And he embraced Ayatollah Khomeini's radical Islamic Marxist terrorism and would not support the Shah of Iran, who he did not even give exile to, would not even allow into the United States.
It's grand tradition because you saw Obama later on in his administration celebrate the Arab Spring. And of course, what's his name?
Let me make that point. Chris, that's a good point. And Jerry, you can back me up on this. So Zbigniew Brzezinski is the author of the switch. Now, I'm using some layman's terms here, but you can correct me, Dr. Corsi. Basically, Zbigniew Brzezinski wanted to change horses. First off, they wanted to get rid of the Shah, which they did, and they wanted to actually, be friendly with the Shia, Shia Muslims as our partner in the Middle East, who are, wanting to go after the Arabs, who were our preferred partner. And ever since then, the Democrats have wanted to basically embrace Iran and the mullahs over our partners with the Arabs. I'm not saying either side is good.
And
shooting have problems, but still, this is why we have the wackadoodle policy because of Zbigniew Brzezinski and Jimmy Carter.
Bending Israel in the process. I mean, that was
absolutely.
Brzezinski was a communist.
Yep.
Okay, and he was a communist, and his whole New World Order globalism, the Trilateral Commission, all these things were coming into being under Brzezinski.
And that's Mika's dad, by the way. Mika.
Yes.
That's right.
You can tell the resemblance there.
Yeah, well,
The communist look in their
That
eyes.
could be twins.
and then the other image I have of Carter is, wearing a cardigan in the White House and saying that we all needed to turn down our temperature of our thermostats because we were running out of oil.
Oh.
And the Arab oil embargo, which caused gas lines across America, and then skyrocketing inflation under Carter, that took Volcker under Reagan as head of the Fed to have 22% interest rates in order to control the inflation under Carter.
Yeah.
Carter lost control of the economy. He lost control of energy. Was one of the first to start this running out of oil scare, and wanted us to go into biomass and other ideas. He wanted to do ethanol. Every idea Carter had was a bad idea.
Yep.
So
let me hit that real quick, Jerry, to back up. Jerry has his book on the environment, which I highly recommend. Jerry, I'm not in my office, so I can't pull it up and show the folks, but mention the title of your environmental book.
It's about the truth about energy, global warming, and climate change. And it basically says that this entire farce is ideologically driven.
Right.
That there is no global warming. Burning hydrocarbon fuels does not increase the temperature of the Earth.
Right.
Immeasurably. It's
there it is.
That's the book. Thank you very much, Chris, for putting that up. And the fact is that we need hydrocarbon fuels. Without it's a depopulationist agenda, and Carter was part of the depopulationist agenda. That there are too many people, that we can't support this number of people on Earth. Well, it's ridiculous. I mean, with hydroponics, we could grow enough food in the desert and the Sahara and the Middle East to feed the world several times over.
So, Jerry, to that point,
lack of imagination. All the evil ideas that came around, Carter supported every single one of them.
Right. So that's what I want to kind of highlight is that the Patriots here follow us, Jerry. They love you. And hey, come here. My son just got in to do work. Here's the emergency support staff coming in.
Excellent.
He's the cavalry. Say good morning. Ms. Ryan. Good
Morning.
The cavalry arrived.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I love this.
Small town dramatics. You got to bring in, the son from hey, get up and stop playing whatever you're doing. Coming in. Anyway,
where's
back to, so my point, to Jerry's point, is a lot of the trends we now experience regarding the Democrats, like Joe Biden is bragging right now, is his lacked act of stupidity. He's going to continue to do green energy stuff. This green energy nonsense goes all the way back to Carter. I got a degree. We've talked about this. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, when I got my degree in 1986, which was just after Carter, they were saying we had something called peak oil, right, Jerry? Peak oil.
Peak oil.
Oh my God, we're going to run out in the 90s, or we're going to run out in 2000. We're going to be like,
there are only so many dinosaurs, so there's only so much oil.
Right, and so that they were justifying this idea that there's lack, therefore we have to hold back on what we have left before we can find a new thing and make everybody miserable. Right now, as we speak, we have more petroleum on the planet because it's a renewable resource to basically fuel mankind's needs for at least the next 200 years. Right, Jerry?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Permian Basin alone has 100 years worth of energy in it.
Exactly.
And they've got other deposits of that nature. The Bakken fields are also up in North Dakota, etc. We have huge oil deposits. Alaska has enormous amounts of oil and resources.
Absolutely.
And so Julian Simon, the resource economist, was right in that there was always more oil than we thought there was.
Right.
Our technology we can economically retrieve oil at depths and levels that we could never go before. We have new technology, fracking, hydraulic drilling, and by the time we are extensively using hydrocarbons, which we're still not doing yet, we'll be using alternative fuels. Nuclear fuel will come on much stronger in the future as well.
Right. So, and by the way, we'll all go out with Karyn and have our hair flying in the wind, and we drive our convertibles.
That sounds good.
You're following the chat. I like it. I was talking about my Sierra.
I'm watching. I can't respond to everybody. By the way, Jerry, so speaking of technology, do you think we'll have the technology available to tap all the oil in Gavin Newsom's hair to turn California into an energy neutral state because man, oh man, he's got to have like 10 years worth of oil up there. Just saying. So
the California, except for the coastal area, is really becoming increasingly Republican.
Yep.
Increasingly red. And I think the work we've done with this God's Five Stones Foundation and showing the algorithms and State Board of Election databases, and we're continuing this. I want to get rid of these or they'll steal the 2026 midterm elections. We've got to get rid of these algorithms. I know the President Trump's lawyers are working on this. So this is going to be a major effort. We're going to get down to the bottom of how the election fraud is done, and we're going to put an end to it. And that has to be done before 2026 or we'll lose Congress.
Yeah.
These people don't give up. And every one of their ideas is bad. From every single idea, electric vehicles. Again, Avis and Hertz are selling off Teslas as fast as they can at bargain prices. They don't work.
Nope.
Wind and solar. One hailstorm and your entire solar panel field is destroyed. These are not viable technologies. They're not robust enough, scalable enough.
No, Jerry, this is my theory. So they want everybody in Florida to have Teslas or some electric vehicle. So when a storm comes, they all die. This is all about population control, right, Karyn?
The whole time, every time Jerry talks, all I'm thinking is, Carl Schwab, the World Economic Forum, down the rabbit hole, he's talking. I'm like, yeah, but we don't have COVID and the election fraud and mail-in ballots. And, my mind goes crazy just as the chat goes crazy because it's so obvious to so many of us what happened. And now we're in this point where we're getting back control, which is amazing, but, a little bit scary too coming into the new year. I want to see everything very optimistically and clean slate as we started the show. But, the 20th seems a long way off right now, especially with the games that they've played in the past. We could go back to COVID and the mail-in ballots and all of the fraud that was perpetuated. Where are we at? Are we going to be okay? He's going to get inaugurated and everything's going to be great, Jerry. And we're going to find out the fraud. I like where you're going with this. And can we destroy the World Economic Forum? Can we take out all these globalists? Is there a way?
We're now at a point where we've been given a reprieve and we have a chance at least to fight these battles. But I think the Democrats have come to the conclusion that they can't stop Trump from being inaugurated. They've tried and all their schemes have failed. Now they're getting repudiated in the courts. Jack Smith is worried about going bankrupt and his being charged.
Good.
So if we just defund the World Health Organization, it collapses. Defund the United Nations, it collapses.
Yes.
If NATO's going to be aggressive and go to war against Russia, defund NATO, it collapses.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have to be part of that. By the way, these leftists will feel useless after a while because wokeness is dead. I have an idea. Instead, these people with their woke degrees and their woke activist loudmouth garbage on what's now the children's table of social media, Blue Sky. Yeah, they could make themselves useful and maybe clean up what they sown here and help clean up these abandoned solar farms. Maybe put this environmental awareness that they have to use and clean up what their cronies or their heroes have put together and destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at what the Democrats are for, and I think Democrats are clearly a communist party. I think they're rapidly moving to becoming a treasonous party. They want to destroy everything that's good about America. So we have more abortions going on, since Roe v. Wade was overturned. We have people say we don't need families. You got Harari saying there is no God. God's a sky fairy. I mean, I think
the left loves fairies. Just saying, that's the sign of their fairies.
They want, this transgenderism and this the insanity.
Yes.
I think with Trump, we're going to see the end to admirals in dresses. I think we're going to see the end as the military being able to run a transgender parade down Fifth Avenue.
No doubt. Yeah. I think
there's going to be fundamental changes coming because the American people are demanding it. They've seen the insanity. And in some ways, it was good Biden had 4 years, and we've seen the insanity. Yeah. And we don't want these demons running the country.
Well, I want to hit that real quick, Barry. So, so the issue we started out talking about the environment, the way they funded they basically hid the new Green Deal. They called it the the American Recovery Act, or what was it called? It was some other.
What was it? There was the infrastructure one deal that the Inflation Enhancement
Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act was just the new Green Deal retooled, or whatever you want to call it. It was the same thing. But my point to that, Jerry, is that Biden, he didn't do it. Someone else did it. Valerie Jarrett and I would argue Susan Rice. They were the puppet masters of Joe Biden's depends. Just say. I mean, if you want to get technical, it's kind of, he wore the pins though. But anyway, my point being is that at this point, now that we're rolling out of the past, and we're this is a review show. We're reviewing what happened. So one of the things that happened though is that people recognize, Jerry, that Joe Biden wasn't in charge.
Right.
And the whole media now is pretending. Karyn said this at the beginning of the show. It's like they're all pretending that they didn't know. Of course they knew. Of course they knew. So that's my question to you. Will the media learn any lessons, or will they just continue to be an extension of the Democrat Party and do stupid stuff?
I think they'll continue to do stupid stuff. I think I think the media is going to suffer a lot of bankruptcies. I think you're going to see people turning it off altogether. I don't know that the New York Times and Washington Post need to be printed anymore. I haven't read the New York Times since Vietnam War. I mean, it's been lying and propagandized since then. The point is that we are now going to see the solution to the federal government is take the entire bureaucracy, including the CIA, and move it to Death Valley and put them in Quonset huts and let them have all the wind and solar they want. Okay, because they got to break the back of this deep state bureaucracy. You've got the CIA, and the banks, running the drug trade in the border, running the sex trade, running the children being kidnapped into sex slavery. Yeah. And it's all an international racket. And I think they've moved in to start running our elections with these algorithms. Now, we don't need a CIA if it is going to become an evil empire funding operation. And that's what it's become. Dark operations has become and they won't let them celebrate Christmas. They won't let them say Merry Christmas at the CIA. You do that, you're going to lose your job. Were they supposed to praise Satan? Is that what they're supposed to say?
Well, no, they're all undercover, Jerry. They all have aliases, and they pretend that they're undercover. They all wear trench coats and nothing else under them. Just saying. No, I didn't say it. Anyway, Jerry, real quick, before we go, I got to go ahead and do a read. Paul, Chris, let's bring up the Paul information. So real quick, before we end the year, one of the things we want to give you a tip on, which we give you a tip on all the time, is Paul Stone and Colonial Metals. ColonialMetalsGroup.com /ed-Henry. You need to get in touch with Paul and his folks. There it is, right below. It's scrolling below my name. Chris, put up that little scanner thing too, if you could, for the people to scan it. We always talk about.
Good. Yep.
So we're like 20 days out from the great return of the Donald Trump. But the problem is, even with his return, as we've been talking about, there's a lot of wreckage from the past that he's going to have to clean up. We've talked about the environmental issues, which have resulted in the fraudulent spending, which resulted in inflation, huge inflation we continue to suffer from. I'll be lucky to get out of here today without spending $100. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm not kidding about the fact that you all need to look at Paul Stone and his team at Colonial Metals of what they can do. 800-805-4034 if you want to do the old-fashioned way. They will help you expand your portfolio into gold and silver. Nothing will weather the storm of uncertainty better than gold and silver. You will go right. You will not go wrong by making the call. At least educate yourself. Find out what your options are, and you will be very, very pleased because these things will help you no matter what happens. I have full confidence. Jerry has full confidence. Karyn, Chris, and I, we have full confidence in the upcoming presidential inauguration and the team he's going to select. He's going to have a blue ribbon team that's going to have, I don't want to say an open field. They're going to have a field that they understand better how to run. And that's what's important. But before that happens, you need to protect yourself and your family and your future by getting gold and silver. So anyway, back to the show. Jerry and Karyn, let's go. I want to go to Karyn. So Karyn, one of the things that we've talked about today is ending transgender issues. One of the things that did not happen, I think partly because Jerry and his team did a great job of scaring off the bad guys regarding looking for the algorithm, which we know exists. But Karyn, more importantly, the left was counting on women like you saying, oh, no, Joe Biden is my guy because, or I should say Kamala Harris.
I mean,
Kamala Harris.
I'm very insulted by this, Tony. I'm going to try not to take this personally. Wait a second. Just keep going. Ask me the question.
Well, the question is, why didn't all the women show up for Kamala like Joe Biden and the Democrats said they would because of, Roe versus Wade?
I mean, I think because she's an idiot and most American women aren't stupid. I mean, we can just sum it up really quickly. It's such a misconception. I mean, all of this nonsense, and it's all like fake. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all theatrics. People don't feel this way. Why do they feel this way? Because MSNBC and Morning Joe says that they feel this way. It's a very small population of people that are at home watching these stations. And that population, from what I've experienced, and I'm sure what you all have experienced, is an older generation that's still watching the same channels that they watched when they weren't so corrupt, and they're stuck in a little echo chamber bubble. But they're a small part of the population. They're not overwhelming. Wait, what?
What's wrong with my Dumont network? Come on.
No, nothing at all. I mean, but there is a small part of the population that is still watching these antiquated networks, just like there's a really small part of the population that's affected by transgender issues. I mean, it's not something that's mainstream. Nobody cares about this. Most women, suburban women who are at home, are concerned, number one, that they're going to have enough money to feed their children. If we don't have a decent economy, we have nothing. And I don't know. I mean, I've talked to women about a lot of issues, and I know a lot of women that don't agree with me and that aren't on the right. But at the core issue, what they're worried about most of the time is their children. We're worried about our kids.
Exactly.
We're worried about, number one, feeding our kids and making sure that they don't die. Like my entire, existence as a parent, as I'm sure it's the same for you as men, is like, make sure I keep my kids safe, fed, and they don't die. Like, very simple.
But Karyn, this goes back,
keep them safe.
This goes back to Jerry's point. That they are the party who worships death. They don't believe there's a God.
It's true.
There she is.
I mean, she's not an American woman. Like, what is this? Is she a woman at all? I mean, we should all ask ourselves this question. Who is she? Is she just some puppet in a costume? What is this? This isn't real. This isn't representative of how Americans feel, think, or act.
Well, Chris, let me throw this out to you guys to talk about. So there's a theory, Jerry and Chris, maybe you guys can hit this, is that Kamala pulled her punches a lot regarding the fact that she would not answer policy issues because she, being the puppet that she is, the Democrats and her handlers believe that she has a political future in California. So they didn't want to taint her brand. Can I use taint on this show? I guess I can. Taint her brand by the fact that she wanted to preserve her left leanings by not going to the center. So, Chris, do you think that's true? And then to Jerry.
It actually has this idea has merit because we all knew that she was coming into this with a big loss. I suppose the idea was the Democrats gave this one away. They were going to call Trump a racist for 4 years and try to take Congress in 2026. We have discussed this particular thought. But yes, the offshoot of that was find a way to reward Kamala Harris. And that would be to put her in a position to either become a member of, get some kind of cushy job at a university or run for governor of California. And that is an important idea. So the idea is to keep her, package her up, keep her kind of distant from most voters, see if they'll do the pretty package thing on her, but also say to California, the leftist California voters, that she hasn't abandoned her roots and she's going to be back for you guys. That does make a lot of sense.
Well, I've got a little bit of different take on it. I mean, I think that let's look at how she got there. When Obama and Nancy Pelosi showed up to tell Joe Biden he wasn't going to get to run again, he was not pleased. Joe Biden still thinks he could have beaten Trump. It's delusional in his. But so what Biden did immediately is he put out an X post saying that Kamala should be now the president. So he blocked Michelle Obama, which I think was the plan originally from Obama, to have her service and go through some kind of a voting process before the Democratic convention in which she became the nominee. Now that whole thing, because I think Biden knew that Kamala was the worst possible candidate that has ever surfaced in U.S. politics. I mean, he's my classic case of someone who is doomed to failure, or cackling, her inability to answer, her history. I mean, there's nothing about this woman. This woman, even her own staff hates this woman. Okay, so she's got zero credibility. And Biden did this in order to throw a monkey wrench into Obama's plans.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Same reason Biden's not going to give a pardon to Obama or to any of the others. Biden he's resentful old man. When he does think, he's just angry. He's angry at the way he's treated. He's angry at his disability.
He should be, poor man. I mean, honestly, if he wasn't such a horrible politician, we'd all be feeling bad for him. And, I know I'm going to get some flack in the chat for that, Jerry, but yeah.
Evil. I mean, this is a guy who's taken trillions of billions of dollars in bribery since he got into the Senate. I mean, he's done nothing but benefit his family financially. He's morally corrupt. I'd like to have a little seat at the table when he shows up in front of God to say, were you a faithful servant? I'd like to see how God responds. I wouldn't mind to have a ticket to that show.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think he's going to see God. He's going to see the other guy down south. Just saying. Anyway,
you might get a brief.
I'm going to do a quick walk around now. Let's take a 5-minute break, and I want when I come back, I want us to do our wishes for the new year. So I'll start with Karyn because she's the best looking, and so we'll go with her first. And I'm just going to walk around.
They're very simple. They're simple wishes.
Well, hold on. Here we are. I just want to make sure everybody sees where we're at. The Broad Street Cafe. Isn't that nice? To run a lull like that. With my friends.
Yep.
Hey, good morning. Hi, folks. This is my show, or our show.
We're live, by the way.
We're live. We're live on Rumble. That's right. So there we go. Happy New Year. So there she is. There she is.
Okay. Now, Mary Pat. Mary Pat. Can you actually do something for us? Because in honor of Linda Lavin's passing, we need the chef, the person who to bang on the bell with the spatula and say, "Hey, Vera or Alice, pick up the order. Pick it up." That would be pretty cool.
We have the bell.
Yeah, they have the bell.
And the spatula. That would be really awesome.
So anyway, I'm just going to walk up here to the front so that I can see where I'm at. So anyway, when you come to Edenton, this is a great place. See, we're going to see, there's the window. I'm going outside because it's actually a nice day here, believe it or not. Look at this.
A beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Beautiful neighborhood. There we are. So I'm still looking for the broads, and I haven't found them. So if you see them before I do, just text me. Anyway, so I'm going to walk over here, believe it or not, and look down here. Look at this. This is Edenton. This is
I
Mayberry.
love it. Look how sweet that is.
Mayberry RFD on the water. I'm going to get another shot here.
This is nice.
Down there's the water. Just after you keep going down there, there's the water. So anyway, here we are, and a little, this is a great place. So I highly recommend you all come down and check it out sometime because it's like America should be. Apple pie motherhood. Is that what? I guess I can say that. Anyway, I'm going back in now. Whoop.
It's the poll, right?
That's right. It's a poll. So anyway, so you guys saw the little snippet of town. So if this goes well, if you all like it, we'll do more of these live shots down here. This is kind of a cool place to be. Anyway,
it's
so
awesome.
Karyn,
I like the colors.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They redid this. My son helped them, by the way. They took all of these out. They had crud in here from 1904. Believe it or not,
wow.
It's all gone. They cleaned it all out. Yeah, they cleaned it all out. It's immaculate. It's wonderful. So you ought to come down. If you come to Edenton, come here. Have coffee. We'll have coffee. We'll talk. How about that? Anyway,
I might come to Edenton just to go there. I mean, I don't think you're putting Edenton. I mean, we should make this the destination. We should do something there. We should do a live shot of the show. I'll come there.
Yeah. So if the Patriots like it, we'll do more of these. I mean, it's a friendly environment. We'll probably talk to more folks. You saw some of my friends there having breakfast. They were very gracious with us, letting us interfere with their breakfast. Anyway,
Oh
back to the show.
wow.
So
Yeah,
no,
no, and I wanna
everybody
give a
knows
shout
everybody.
out. Can
Everybody
I give
knows
a
everybody.
shout out, Tony?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I shout out Florida for Trump says this looks like old DeLand, Florida, and it really does. And as you were walking through there, I have a lot of family that lives in DeLand, and I
Yeah.
thought to myself, it looks like DeLand, and took the words out of my mouth in the chat. What a beautiful little town.
It's a great place, and this is a great restaurant. I mean, this place has only been open about not even a month, but this is the breakfast place to be. Again, it's like old America. One of the things, and this is my wish, I guess I get to go first, is that we
Okay.
get back to traditions which represent who we are as a people. God, country, help our kids become better. You saw my son; I got him out of bed to come down and help out. Like he's in the kitchen washing dishes right now. Just saying. So we need to have our kids learn how to be good citizens. We do. So my wish for the new year is we get back to the basics that made our country great. So then over to you, Karyn. Sorry, I got to go first.
Yeah, no, it's
anyway,
great, and I'm reading the chat. It gave me a few more minutes to catch up with everybody, and everybody is loving the idea of doing maybe a little. We could do a little community trip, a little Wake Up Patriots trip. So if we really want to do that and we're serious, I'll do it. I know you'll do it. So
Absolutely.
let's put it together. Let's see.
That should
Sean
work.
Lucas seems like he wants to lead the charge. So I'm going to call him out on air and put him in charge of the whole operation. And you guys let me know what you come up with. And maybe that'll be part of my wish for the new year, because I was going to say one of my wishes for the new year is to keep having fun with you guys and doing this show on Tuesdays, because it really has added a lot of beauty to my life this year. And I really enjoy being a part of the community. And I'm so glad that, we've held it all together, from going from, a big network and a morning show to, a community atmosphere where we're hanging out with you, Tony, in the morning. And, we're having breakfast at a diner with, real Americans again. I love
Real
it.
Americans.
I think it's something that could, really go forward in 2025. And I'm on board for it. But most of all, I wish that we get our country back and we can restore the havoc that we have had over the last 4 years. It could end up being a distant memory, just like Jimmy Carter became a distant memory. And, that entire debacle when we were kids or teenagers, is now something we look upon and we say, we learned our lesson. My hope is that we learned our lesson as a country and that we can move forward, and that all of the people that were on the left that are feeling guilty and feeling bad about the choices that they've made know that God has forgiven them and we have forgiven them, and we now embrace them on the right as a part of the Republican Party. So any Democrats that want to come on over, we welcome you. And this is the time to clean the slate. Clean the slate. Forget about who you were. Turn the page. It's a new year. Be a Republican. Be an American. That's what it means. If you're an American these days, you are a Republican. You cannot be a Democrat, as Jerry so eloquently said, and be an American. You are basically siding with communism. So come on over. We're a welcoming bunch. That's what I want for 2025.
Yep.
What I see is Reagan followed Carter, and Reagan got us back on track. And Trump is following Biden and Obama, and he's going to get us back on track. Donald Trump today is very different than Donald Trump in 2016. He's now seen Washington. He understands it. He's not a newcomer any longer. He's now been through the fire, and he sees what Washington can do to you. He's coming in with a top experienced team. This team is going to be much more effective. And the country is rejected woke. The 4 years we had of Biden were critical for us to really understand these demons and what they want to do.
Yep.
And people are resoundingly saying, we don't want to go there. Just like they didn't want to go down the path with Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter almost destroyed the Democratic Party. I think Obama and Biden have destroyed the Democratic Party. I think the Democratic Party needs to either reconstitute itself or abandon the communism and the treason. And I don't think it's capable of doing it. I think the Democratic Party is by now evil. I think it needs to be charged with treason. It will be charged with treason. There will be treason cases coming. From what I know alone of the election fraud, there will be treason coming. CIA needs to be disbanded. We need to have truth again brought forward in the media. and the media needs to be reorganized or disbanded, abandoned. The shows like you're doing, Tony, and America is still conservative. America is still believes in God. America still wants to raise children. America still wants to be exceptional. We want to bring the value of free enterprise to the world. We don't need wars in the Middle East. We don't need wars in Ukraine.
Right.
I think Donald Trump is going to reestablish the opportunity for the world to coexist. And with the billions of people we have on the planet today, the alternatives to coexistence are unthinkable. And were at the brink of those, and with the Democrats realizing they were losing power, willing to bring us to the edge of World War III in order to either destroy the world or to maintain power. And once the American people understand that, I think the rejection of the Democratic Party is going to be resounding.
Yeah. Jerry, I want to hit that before I let Chris speak. The Chinese made a comment yesterday regarding the inbound Trump team. They basically said that they hope they can help find a path of cooperation in the new world order. Well, the new world order is they're running it. And I don't think people understand. It's like Biden has opened the door for China to be the dominant force. Now, look, I'm not an imperialist. I'm not a neocon. Jerry's not either. But the idea is we need to have a path forward where we have the Reagan strength, peace through strength. I do believe that. We have to have the best military that no one will dare challenge us. But at the same time, we don't have to use that military to be a bully. And there's a fine line, but there's one to be had. Right, Jerry? Is that an accurate?
Reagan bankrupted the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Trump can bankrupt China.
Exactly.
Patriots will do it. And it does not take more than the firm resolve to say, as Donald Trump will say, as did Reagan, we win, you lose.
Exactly. So speaking of winning, so Chris, what do you hope for the new year, Chris?
Well, I would hope that the Republicans don't do what, and we do this as patriots. We do this every time we win. We cheer, we celebrate, and we rest on our laurels about all of this. This is not something that has to be done. We have to keep our guard up about everything. We all know that there are going to be factions within the government, whether it be the legislative or the judicial, as you can see what's going on here. And yes, even parts of and moles in the executive branch that are going to try to throw obstacles in our way, in the reforming of America's way, where there are going to be forces outside of this country. We have, remember, George Soros is handing down his fortune, his influence to his son, Alex Soros. He's going to be very active in interfering with elections like ours and others around the world. The World Economic Forum, yes, they're weakened, but they're not going to stop. We have to keep an eye on all of this. The depopulationists, they're not going to stop. And Tony, like you said, the Chinese, they see a new world order where they're going to be in charge.
Exactly.
Vladimir Putin sees a new world order where Russia is going to be in charge. The BRICS nations see a new world order where they're going to have a lot more influence than they probably should have, a lot of these nations. And they're also going to have a lot of economic influence if they band together, especially if the Americans and these Green New Deal types let them have it. But we cannot rest on our laurels. We have to keep going. We have to keep educating others. And we have to make sure that we show up at the voting booth, not only for the federal elections, for the congressional elections coming up in 2 years, but for the local and state elections. And we tend to be lax doing that. This is how you get the Hokels of the world. This is how you get the Witchmers of the world. And this is how you get the spaceman Jerry Browns of the world in office.
Yeah, I'm no Jerry Brown, but I became a commissioner here. Just saying, I took your advice.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I'm serious. I think we need to be way more involved. So,
now, do you have a red phone that you can call Batman with?
No,
it needs to be done economically. We don't need to have more wars. That's the key point.
No, but but intellectually too. Because
and the woke has been rejected. Now we get the opportunity to engage in the battle. Battle has just begun. Okay, and now with the American people awakened to what these demons want to do, we have the opportunity to get many things reversed, and to get them reversed in a way that they'll be reversed for a long time. A world that's emerging, which will be a multipolar world, Russia, China, and the United States, we're going to have to learn to coexist. That's the only alternative.
So
nuclear war is unthinkable. And
Right.
war becomes nuclear war today very quickly.
So I like the way you said that, Jerry, that we're kind of back in 1980. I feel like I'm in 1980, by the way. I feel just like I did in 1980 because rolling into 81, I remember that. To Karen's point, I mean, I voted for Reagan and I remember the 80s. And the 80s was a renaissance. It was a great time. 81 to 87, man, oh man. 88, well, then the Bushes rolled in and it all kind of went downhill. But I digress. But I think we have the potential, not necessarily for that amount of time, but the 4 years we have coming can be, like you just said, Jerry, a time of benefit to the world, not just America, to the world. And one of the things I want to add to this is that we've seen this in our lifetime, the coalition, the Overton window of who is a conservative. We had our friend Mark Mitchell on yesterday from Rasmussen, and we were talking with Mark about the fact that the Overton window of who's conservative. Now, anybody who's conservative is really just an American, anybody who loves the country. So the idea is the Trump coalition has brought over the unions, they brought over the Latinos, they brought over all the groups who want to be exceptional Americans. And I want to make this point before we go, but this is important. We as Americans are not better than everybody else. The idea is you can come here and be exceptional. That's what exceptional. Exceptional Americans are us. We're all exceptional because we have the freedom. That's what they want to end. They want to end our ability to have Elon Musk, a South African, come here to become the most richest man in the world. That is American exceptionalism. People can come here to be Americans, right, Karen?
Absolutely,
And it's not racist.
We can revitalize Western Europe. We can revitalize even Russia today is abandoning communism.
Right.
We can get the world to understand that there are principles that work, and these principles are dependent upon individual rights, upon the ability to engage in economic activity, the lack of censorship. The fundamental principles of American society can be applied worldwide, and if they are, the world can prosper. We got to get to the point of recognizing that, and the bad ideas that we've had, which have been hatred and wars and killing each other, etc., and communism and radical Islam and all these other ideologies, the Democrats' woke gender, nonsense. These need to be rejected. They don't work. Let's stick with ideas that do work. And I think Trump has the simplicity that Reagan had, and he has the determination of purpose, where he's going to say to the world, we do not need war, we do not need insanity, and we do not need to fund things that don't work. And so therefore, it's easy to get rid of the WHO, the UN, NATO, and all these other entities, and begin to reimagine how we can get a strong currency again and get out of this economic difficulty where gold is going to hit $3,000 or $5,000 an ounce before we're done. We're probably going to need a Paul Volcker back again, but we can solve these problems. Reagan did it. He showed us the example. Trump is following along in that path, and we've got an opportunity here now to win some battles. So let's go win some battles.
Yeah,
So,
keep an eye on the
well said, Jerry.
Keep an eye on the underground, because you still have a lot of leftist influence in public schools and academia that are going to try to influence the next few generations. They did this before, and look what we wound up with. It could happen again if we don't keep an eye out.
Well,
and the tuition program.
Right.
Yes.
So get the government out of the tuition business. If these schools are teaching communism, let them fail. We don't need these universities if that's what they're going to teach.
So the point being is that, as Churchill said, this is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning. Right, Jerry?
Yeah, it may even be the beginning of the beginning.
That's right.
We're just now got the chance to fight. Under Obama, if Obama and Biden and Kamala, which Kamala had won, we'd have censorship. We'd have more of the internal organizations of justice and CIA turning internally to punish those of us who like God and want freedom and want to raise families. And now we have a chance to reestablish those values and get these demons at least chased back maybe 1,000 years.
So, in our Patriot family here, we love you all. I'm watching the chat. I can't respond as much as I'd like to everybody. We love you all. By the way, share this. We've talked about bringing in, we have a big tent, and it's a real tent. Share this with your friends on the left. It's like, let them know. It's like, we love them. we just don't like their party. We love the idea of bringing Americans back to being American, being proud of who we are and what we can do. Now is the beginning, as Jerry said, the beginning of the beginning for us to work together as a nation to bring us back to prosperity and prominence. And frankly, when we do well, the world does well. And we want to keep out extreme Islamic hate and violence. We want to keep out Chinese communism. We want to bring the Reagan, what was it? The bright city on the hill, Jerry, the Reagan concept. We can do that for the world. And Karyn, we can do that for Oklahoma and Florida. As a matter of fact, we're doing
That
it
would
for
be
both,
great.
right?
Yeah, I need at least both. I mean, I would like to see it, maybe also take over the tri-state area because I like traveling there. I like seeing my daughter in New York. So, I think we're going to see a widespread change in America, and I'm here
Yeah.
for it. So bring on 2025, Patriots. Let's do it. Wake up.
Right.
Yes,
As Deborah Lynn said, we need the country back. We will get it back.
Yeah.
All right,
Right,
sorry, Chris. Last word to you, Chris.
we need more Donald Trumps and less Gus Y. Halls in this country.
Yes. Well, or Joe Biden. I mean, he looks like a younger Joe Biden. So
He
just
does,
saying.
doesn't he?
All right. So, well, that's it, man. Another great show. Karyn, thank you for being here. Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've had a great discussion of what was bad, and we talked about what is good and what's coming. And Chris, thank you for being here with us, kind of directing them. If it wasn't for Chris, we'd be using crayons right now to communicate because he knows how to make everything work. He does. He's like a magician.
Yeah.
I like a crayon. I like to color. That's my new hobby. That's what I do on the
Remember
airplane
that-
now. I color in my coloring book.
I enjoy driving, but you know what?
Yeah,
If you
remember
like
that-
the way I
remember there's
drive,
this-
stay off the sidewalk.
Chris, do you remember there was a TV series called The Magician? It starred Bill Bixby. He had a cool Corvette. He drove into an
Ooh.
airplane.
That's
Remember
right.
that?
And he solved mysteries.
They solved mysteries.
Bill Bixby.
Yeah.
That's a throwback,
right.
guys.
We should bring that back. That'd be cool.
The problem was they got him mad a little bit too much during the
That's
program,
right.
so that's why they had to cancel it early.
So anyway, well, we got to go. I got to go off and do other things, and I got to, as a matter of fact, I got to do some things with the evil overlord. Good morning, Ed Henry here in a bit. So I got to go off and see Ed. So anyway, look at that. What's his name?
Iggy.
Karyn.
Iggy. This is Iggy.
Iggy.
Aw.
Iggy's cute. I don't have my.
She's very cute.
Let's
Aw.
just
She's a good
close up
girl.
on Iggy. We got to do a close up on Iggy here.
Here.
There he is.
Oh,
There's
look how
Iggy.
beautiful.
There you go. Say hi, everybody. Hi,
Iggy, Iggy.
Put me
Patriots.
down. Put me down.
She's not Iggy Pop. She can't sing China Girl, can she? No. I guess
actually,
that's
she's
asking
named
too much.
after the rapper Iggy Azalea. Iggy Azalea.
Oh, that's right.
Iggy
Oh,
Azalea. Yeah,
Very
because
cool.
she's so fancy. She's
Oh,
so
wait, I
fancy.
thought-
She's so fancy.
You already know.
I thought
And
she
we're
was named
fancy
after,
too.
I thought she was named after
What?
Ignatius Donnelly.
That's right. So anyway, well, we're fancy here, and we'll see you next week for another great series of episodes in a new year of Wake Up Patriots. Thank you for being here. We love you all. We'll see you again soon.